This is Maggie from OMNIVORE'S Cookbook. Today I want to show you how to make restaurant-style Chinese barbecue pork that has the beautiful glossy glaze, juicy interior, and a rich taste. Let's get started. Making char siu is a two-step process. The day before you want to marinate the pork to give it a rich taste and make the glaze, so you have enough time to let it cool down. Now we're preparing the marinating ingredient by mixing quarter cup of soy sauce, quarter cup of Shaoxing wine, quarter cup of hoisin sauce, quarter cup of oyster sauce, quarter cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons molasses, grating 2 cloves garlic, adding 1 teaspoon 5-spice powder, half a teaspoon salt, and some food colorings to give the char siu that red color. You can skip the food coloring if you don't like to use it. We are using pork tenderloin in this recipe, but you can use pork loin or pork shoulder as well. Add the pork into a gallon Ziploc bag. Add half a cup of the marinade. Squeeze out as much air as possible. Seal the bag. And then massage the bag a few times so the marinade covers the pork evenly. Now you can marinate the pork in the fridge for overnight or up to 2 days until you are ready to cook it. Here I want to take a moment to introduce maltose. Maltose is a super thick syrup that is commonly used in traditional Chinese cooking. It is the ingredient that makes the glaze extra thick to give the pork that glossy look. You can see that maltose is very hard in room temperature. I usually microwave it for 20 seconds before using to soften it. Now we are using the rest of the marinade to prepare the glaze. Add the marinade into a small saucepan and then add 2 tablespoons maltose. To make the measurement easy, I usually grease the tablespoon with a very thin layer of oil. You can see that the maltose will be slide right off the spoon after you grease the spoon. And by the way, you can use honey to replace maltose if you don't have any, but the glaze will be thinner and won't coat the pork as well. Now heat up the marinade over medium heat and stir constantly to dissolve the maltose. Once you bring the pot to a simmer, you have to cook it for about 10 minutes to thicken it. You can see that the sauce is still very thin at this stage and it's very hot. So you need to let it cool down for a little bit and then transport it into a mason jar or a container. Store the glaze in the fridge until you are ready to use it. It will thicken a lot once it's chilled. On the day of cooking, preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 230 Celsius. Line a large baking tray with foil and add some water to prevent the dripping from burning. Top a grilling rack onto the tray and then transport the pork onto the grilling rack. I usually drizzle some of the marinade onto the pork to keep it moist. Bake for 10 minutes. And then brush the glaze on both sides of the pork and bake for another 5 minutes. And then baste the top of the pork and bake for another 5 minutes. And when it's done, you should check it with a thermometer. The pork should be at least 145 Fahrenheit or 63 Celsius. Bake for another 5 minutes if the temperature is too low. And turn on the boiler and broil for 3 minutes. Flip the pork to glaze the other side, and then boil for another 3 minutes. Now we've done baking, the pork should look glossy, lightly charred, and cooked through. Now the pork is done, brush it with the rest of the glaze, cover loosely with tin foil, and let rest for 10 to 15 minutes before serving. You can rest it for even longer until the glaze sets. Here it is, homemade Chinese barbecue pork. It has a glossy glaze and juicy meat and a rich taste. You can serve it hot or steamed rice as a main course or serve it cold as a cold appetizer. I hope you enjoy. If you have leftovers, you can make it into fried rice, fried noodles, and even char siu gravy. Check out the recipe by clicking on the link on the right side of the screen. If you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe OMNIVORE'S Cookbook. I'll see you next time.